Welcome to Lighting for Profits.
All light, all light, all light.
Powered by Emery Allen.
Get rid of your excuses.
Your number one source for all things landscape lighting.
That's where the magic can happen. You can really scale a business.
We really had to show up for each other.
From lighting design, install, sales, and marketing.
You're a scaredy cat salesman, Kurt.
We discuss everything you need to know to start and grow a successful landscape lighting business.
What do you think a hippo has to do with your business, Ryan?
Usually it's some weird childhood thing. Some bully kicked your butt.
I think the key factor here is trust.
Here is your host, Ryan Lee.
All light, all light, all light. Welcome. Welcome to the number one landscape lighting show in Happy Valley. That's what they call Utah County here in Utah. Happy Valley. Super excited to be hanging out with you guys today. Got an awesome show lined up. I'm Ryan Lee, the host of Lighting for Profits, powered by Emery Allen. And we're going to have an awesome show, you guys. Super excited. We got Franco with Coastal Source, Franco D'Ascanio. And I'm hoping I said that right. He's gonna rate me when we have him come on, give me a 1 to 10 on the pronunciation. So hoping I did that right. But Franco with Coastal Source. So I want to make sure you guys stick around because they've got some amazing audio and lighting products that want to make sure you guys are aware of. So just grateful to be hanging out with you guys and looking forward to it. What's up, Nathan? Thanks for being here. What's up, Russ? Love it, love it, love it. Thank you, thank you. So, guys, we are here to educate and motivate to help you dominate. So if you're looking to start or grow a landscape lighting business or outdoor audio, we got your back. This is the place to be. Super excited. What's up, Tom? Thanks for your support with Emery Allen. By the way, you guys, I asked and I received. We did a contest. We were giving away some tickets to the huge convention coming up if you give us a 5-star review for the podcast. And we got a bunch of people to do it. So thank you guys for the 5-star reviews. And you know what's funny? Sometimes when you ask for reviews, you don't get what you want. Someone gave me a 1-star review. Can you believe that? It's all right. I've got a few haters out there, and it's just good to know that they're still watching, right? Because you ask and they give you the 1 star. So, and actually now it looks more authentic because when you have a perfect 5-star rating, it doesn't look awesome. It doesn't look, kind of looks fake like all your friends and family did it. But now I got a 4.9. So now I even look better, which is going to actually help me grow. So thank you even to the haters. Look at this, you guys. We got someone watching. What's up? Manelik. I probably did not say that name right. Thank you though so much for your support. I mean, from Uganda. That's freaking awesome. Mr. International here. So thank you. But if you did not give me a 5-star review, please go help me out. And again, we were doing that for the free tickets to the huge convention, which I think we already gave them all away, but I'll still take the 5-star review. And by the way, if you need information on the huge convention, I'm putting a discount code in the comments and you'll actually get, I think it's it says $25 off, but it might be $50 off if you want to still get a ticket. I don't get paid on that or anything. It's literally just a discount for you guys. If you want to come see me speak, I'll be speaking my first time speaking at the huge convention in Nashville at the Gaylord Opryland Hotel. So I'm really, really excited to speak there. So yeah, come see me there. And then don't forget, you guys, we're still trying to get our 100 donations for our 100th episode. If you want to help people be given the gift of sight around the world, some of these countries, there's some, major problems going on. And the thing is, if you give someone sight, they can now take care of themselves. They can get out of poverty, right? But we can do this with just 1 donation at a time. So for $50, they can actually get a procedure that is like a cataract surgery and it gives them the gift of sight. So I love lighting. It's a very visual experience and I'm grateful for my vision. So I want to help others get it as well. So I went ahead and put that link in there as well. So what up, Greg Matthews? What's up? Good to see ya. We got, I believe we got James in the house. He's got his I see that hashtag light on. I'm like, I know who that is. All right. Yeah. Someone got signed up for the huge convention. So sweet. By the way, so this, well, I'll tell you that. I'll tell you about a story that happened to me this last week. It was really, really funny. Before I do that, just want to remind you that we got Franco D'Ascanio coming on with Coastal Source. And this guy is awesome. So if you need some inspiration, if you want to learn from a very successful entrepreneur, of course, we're going to talk about Coastal Source and their products and how different they are and how awesome and stuff like that. But this guy's inspirational. I mean, he's done a lot in his life, so you have a lot to learn from today. So stick around for that. Before we have him on, I want to thank Emery Allen for their partnership. So, this performance matters, right? True statement for a lot of things, including the kind of lighting you use. So don't sell yourself short with your customer by using budget level products. Emery Allen is at the top of their game when it comes to performance. Take their VA rating, okay? Lowest in the industry. What does that mean? Efficiency. With a low volt ampere rating, you're able to drive more bulbs on a circuit with a given transformer rating. With lower quality bulbs in that same transformer, you won't be able to put as many lights on the circuit. Make the switch today to Emery Allen. It's a great time to do it, and you won't be disappointed. Just reach out to Mr. Tom Garber, okay? Tom G at emeryallen.com. His email is tomg@emeryallen.com. Let him know you found out about him here on Lighting for Profits, and he'll hook you up with the discounted contractor pricing so you're not paying the regular price on their website. So tomg at emeryallen.com. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Emery Allen, for your support. And again, we got Franco coming on with Coastal Source. Before we have him on, I want to tell you just this quick story. And man, I can't believe this international support from Uganda. Shoot me a message and we'll connect. I think it's cool. He's trying to create 10,000 jobs in Africa come 2030 through scaling. Man, I love that. Maybe we'll start up a new lighting division there. Can you provide some info on your coaching program? Man, I'm glad you asked. So if you guys want a free strategy session, we're going to talk about my coaching as well. But if you want to just schedule it, just go to landscapelightingsecrets.com and you can schedule a free strategy session with me. And I promise on those sessions, it's not a giant sales pitch. It's more about giving you value. So we uncover some of the obstacles that you're having and give you some things that you can implement right after that session to make more money so you can be more profitable so that you can afford to, not be stuck working in your business. Great. Greg already started the thing. Hashtag luxury illumination Uganda. I was going to be the first one, but now I'm the second. So maybe we'll partner on it. Okay. So last week, you guys, I was out and about with the people, and I was at Haven. They put on their event, and it was a really cool event. Launched their new showroom and stuff like that. It was crazy. It was really, really cool. And had the opportunity to speak there, which I was grateful for. And then later, I went to Raleigh to help Jimmy Tompkins with he had a bunch of people there, Christmas lights and landscape lighting training and stuff like that. It was an amazing experience. Got to hang out with existing friends and people in the industry and meet a bunch of new people. And it was just awesome. But what I want to talk to you about real quickly is, I had the opportunity to speak, and, I take speaking very seriously. This show, any training I do, in any webinar or whatever, I really do. I prepare. I meditate. I think about what I'm going to say, how I'm going to say it. I really try to get in the minds of the people I'm going to be talking to, and like, what are they struggling with? What problems do they have? How can I be a helper today, right? And I really prepare, right? And so a friend of mine shared a video with me after I spoke this last week, and it was another speaker, looked like a really good speaker, right? Talking about someone that came up to them right after he was done speaking. And they said, you know what? You just spoke for an hour. There was 500 people in the room. You just took 500 hours of human life. Like, wow. And then she goes, you did a great job. But not everyone else did. Not everyone was as prepared as you. Not everyone took it as serious. And, I don't know if he was sending me that because I took 500 hours of human life in a good way or a bad way. But I felt good. I had a lot of people coming up to me telling me it was good and stuff like that. And it's just important to me to be prepared, because I view it like that. I'd never heard it in that context, but I view this hour that we're going to spend with you as taking an hour of human life. So I do prepare. Okay. I really am trying my hardest to make it work, So and it was 4,000 hours. Okay. It was way more than my example. Luckily, even for the people who may have done not a good job at these events, there wasn't 4,000 people in the room. So if they wasted time, it wasn't that many human lives, I guess. But no, I it changed my perspective. I'm like, you know what? That's a good, like, I viewed it like that, but I couldn't put it in words. So now I view this as really investing in human lives, right? So what I want to do is fill you in on what I talked about. And it was talking about the marketing foundation. We all have a foundation in our business. We all have operation foundation. We have sales foundations, marketing, a lot of different foundations in our business, right? But the difference between those that are killing it in business and those that are getting killed is marginal. It's not that much. Like a lot of people think, oh, they got to, make this huge change, or it's got to go to a different market or whatever. But honestly, the people who are killing it have just filled in the cracks in their foundation, right? They're doing these small things very well. So right now it's leads. Like a lot of people they're starting to slow down. Those leads are starting to slow down. We've been spoiled the past few years with, COVID. People stayed home and they spent money on their houses, and now you're starting to see a slowdown of that, right? And we talked about really those cracks, those marketing cracks in that foundation that you guys can fill in. And I shared 10 or 12 of them that people could do. And again, it wasn't like, oh man, these cool things that I just invented. Like I didn't invent yard signs, right? I'm just more disciplined, and I'll make sure there's one out on every single job. I didn't invent going around to the 5 houses nearby and knocking on the door and introducing yourself. I'm just more disciplined, and I'm willing to do that, right? So the people that are willing to do hard things and get uncomfortable and do the things that no one else wants to do also happen to be the people that are succeeding in life, right? They're willing to make that sacrifice. So I want to encourage you guys, not just from a marketing standpoint, you've got these cracks in your foundation. We all do. I've got cracks in mine as well. But there's sales foundations that have cracks in it. Training, recruiting, hiring, the operation side of your business, all these different areas, right? And it's just trying to get a little bit better. Like if in landscape lighting, if your average job is $10,000 and you can figure out how to do, fill in that crack to get one extra job a month that you're not getting now, that's $120,000 a year more that you're going to make. And then what if you figure out how to get 2 more a month because you fill in some more cracks? Well, now you just upped your game $240,000, right? Or maybe you fill in one of those cracks and you increase your ticket from 10,000 to 20,000, and now you're at 480,000, right? So these exercises are literally the difference between those that are killing it and those that are getting killed. So highly encourage you, do an internal audit. This is what, when I say work on your business, this is what I'm talking about. Some people don't understand what that means. It's scheduling time to figure out what's wrong so that you can come up with solutions, and then scheduling time to actually work on the solutions, right? So sometimes we feel like that's a waste. Like, well, if I'm not out selling, if I'm not out installing, designing, whatever, that I'm not growing my business. But that's just not true. You're always going to be stuck in your business if that's the case. So, okay. So that's all I wanted to get. And then now we're going to get to Franco. But also this was so cool, you guys. I was in Raleigh and I get out of the Uber to go into Jimmy's place to do the training, and get out, and it was a beautiful morning. It was a Saturday morning. No one was out working or anything. It was really quiet. A couple cars in the parking lot, but I didn't see anyone out there. So I get out of the car, get my backpack on, and I go to start walking in. And out of nowhere, I hear, all light, all light, all light. It was so funny. This guy's in his truck and like leans his head out the window and yells at. So I immediately knew that he was a podcast listener. So that was really cool. That made my day. It probably made my week and month, maybe my year. I don't know, but it was really cool. So that was awesome. People are paying attention. So, all right, I think it's time. I want to spend some time with Franco and Coastal Source. So let's get the music going. Let's get our guests coming. If you guys are here live, let me know. If you have questions for him, let me know. Let's get this thing going. Welcome to the one and only Franco D'Ascanio. I almost said it. How are you?
Doing great. Thanks for having me, and I appreciate all your guests listening in.
Yeah, man, I'm excited to have you on. Get to know you better, get to know Coastal Source better, and I know we're going to add some value today to the listeners. So thank you for being here.
Same here, everyone. Yeah, adding value is what we all need to do.
Absolutely. I mean, you probably noticed this in your life and in your career. There's learning, which we're always doing. But when you start to like help someone else and teach someone else something, your understanding of that principle is like magnified. Have you had that?
No question about it. I think as you mature, I started very young in business for myself. And, at first it's all about you. It's all about your business. And then as you mature, it's all about the people, right? We've got great products. We've got all these great things, but it's all about the people. And it becomes very rewarding to mentor people and see them grow, and that you could be a part of that.
Yeah, it's perfect. Like your bio, it says you're the leader of the team, the general of the troops, the maestro of the orchestra. And I love the maestro of the orchestra part because it's like, from a musical standpoint, one of us can probably produce some pretty interesting music or whatever, but you get the team together, you get the orchestra, and it is something like no other.
Yeah, you can only do so much yourself. I'm a workaholic. I do a lot. But if you don't leverage yourself and your skills, you will always be a small business and working a lot of hours.
Right. I've been there, done that. So let's talk about your journey. I definitely want to talk about Coastal Source. That's like,
Sure.
We're going to do that. But I think you're such an interesting person as well, and you've got a really cool journey. So let's talk about that. Like, when did you start your first business?
It was very early, down in the Florida Keys. I was born down here. I've always lived down here. And the family, which my parents came from Italy, got into the cast concrete business. Okay. So at a very young age, and actually I'm in our R&D studio here for Coastal Source. Right behind us was the concrete manufacturing facility. So we started at a very young age where you could fill buckets with aggregate, you can mix concrete, you could put little forms together. But over time, I didn't find it very rewarding. It was interesting. We learned a lot, and we definitely leveraged what we learned into other businesses. But I really started with an interest in electronics, in my early teens, very early teens, like 13. So started building speakers, light car audio, and in the car audio, we would do lighting, effects. We would do custom things. And in that, coming from the concrete business, the mold making, my mom was a seamstress, so leather sewing. So not only were we doing the electronic part of it, but also the integration and the customization. And that's kind of followed us throughout the design part of our businesses and through the implementation. But built my first speaker in this building when I was 13.
Really?
Built many since. The electronics, then I opened my first store, which is where we're standing right now at age 17. My second store in Key West, and they were audio stores. Video really wasn't much of a thing yet in the very late 70s. So it was integration. It was car audio. Built those stores out. Learned a lot about. At first, the first I was a salesperson. I was electronic tech doing the repairs. Used to repair things back then. I was the installer. So doing all those jobs, and that really continued throughout my life. And I believe it's been a great background because I've gone from a very small business to total right now, we probably have 150 employees or so among a number of businesses. So to be able to sit in all those positions of pretty much everyone, from the guy digging the ditches in our landscape business to running the company, president, dealing with banks and, all those kind of things, it really helps us from a perspective of, what is important that we can do to be different and really help dealers succeed.
Cool.
You take a part of that, obviously, right? We do some of that coaching as part of what we feel is important, but we also design a business model and products that we believe heavily contribute to success. Not just the best product, but all the things that go into the systems, the customer relations, the end product, the referrals, all those things. I've got a lot of, I've been doing this for well over 40 years.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, one of the things that I like about what you just said is, so like you have a perspective now because you've got, multiple companies, somewhere around 150 employees. But before, when it was you wearing all the hats and doing the electronics and the sales and the repairs, whatever, how hard was it for you to make that decision to replace yourself in those areas where you thought, you know what, I'm the best, like I know how to do this? How do you move to that next step and change that perspective? Because that's the one thing I focus on is a lot of my clients are coming to me and they are kind of tired of like, I don't know that I want to do this task the rest of my life. I want to elevate, but I also want to provide that amazing experience to my clients. And what you just said is you've been able to deliver that amazing experience because of your team.
Yeah, I think there's definitely two sides to it, because there are certain things that the owner of the business brings, the confidence, the customer dealing with the owner. So I think you have to be careful you don't get too far removed. Okay. At the same time, you have to realize that you can only do so much yourself. And, no matter how good you are, I'm good at a lot of things. I'm not so good as a lot of other things. I've learned those over the years. So you have to get people to the cracks you mentioned, right? You got to plug the cracks. Not only do you have cracks in your business, you personally have cracks. I know I do, and most people do. So I think when you start surrounding yourself with good people, and you can get frustrated with the wrong people sometimes. They don't have the same vision as you. They don't have the same work ethic as you. But when you get some good ones and you see what they can do for you and you spend time with them, I think it's contagious. And I've also had some, we've tried a lot of businesses, not all of them successful. I've also had the luckily opportunity, I guess, to almost reinvent myself where the business changed. So if you jump from back in my audio stores, there's been a number of businesses, some of them still around, to when we started Coastal. When I started Coastal, which was not as Coastal Source, but it was a company called Design Tech, because, and we can talk about a little later, our Design Source company. It was starting from scratch again. It was doing the basic fundamental things of wiring fixtures, testing them, salt chambers, UV, materials. It wasn't a big staff. It was me and Sean. Sean's still here. And now the team has grown substantially, but it's been kind of interesting because those businesses weren't like we bought a business or we brought in a business. We've started them from scratch. So it's kind of like reinventing yourself in the bottom, but with a much bigger skill set, and then building from there on the things that work.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that. I think a lot of people look at someone like yourself and like, man, that guy's got it all together. He's just always got all the right answers, but not everything works along the way. You tried some things that didn't work. You learned from it. You pivoted, try it again, and then you find a winner, right? And so talk to us about Coastal Source. How did that come about? It wasn't like, okay, let's launch an audio and a lighting company for the community. How did that come to be?
No, so I'll start with how our businesses morph. So when I had my audio stores, I also had what was called Designscapes, a landscape company. So I love the outdoors. And we do, if anybody wants to look it up, it's Design Source. It's with an A, DASIGN Source. We do very high-end resort style properties. These are second, third, fourth, fifth homes for people.
I would say they look nicer than resorts, because sometimes when you go to the resorts, the lighting's not that good, the audio's not that good.
So, but we're very fortunate. I'm very blessed for many, many reasons. One is having the clients that allow us to do state-of-the-art work and trust us to do that. But anyway, we went from a design build firm, a landscape company, audio video stores, an interior and kind of design center company. So all related to these building of homes, but me and my two brothers running different divisions and sometimes multiple divisions. In 1999, we bought a significant property next door with a 25,000 square foot building on it. It was a lumber company, so it wasn't much of a building. And we invested a lot of money in it, pretty much built a state-of-the-art design center that has everything in it that these type of clients would want. It's a one-stop shop with all the skilled professionals that they would need to complete the project. Okay, they're not going to an architect, they're not going to an engineer, they're not going to a plumber, they're not going to an electrician, they're not going to a landscaper, they're not going to an AV guy. It's all in-house. And it's a good business model in a small market, So anyway, that design center also sells product to others. And what we found after we started doing more volume in products was that the failure rate on outdoor products was unacceptable and costing us a lot of money. We're in a very harsh coastal conditions here, and those conditions exist throughout the United States in one form or another, right? Corrosion and problems and wiring. And so we're like, we got to do something about this. We pay a lot of attention to financial details, where we're making money, where we're losing money, services we have to provide, even if they cost you something. And we found out that we were really taking a beating. So at first we just started designing products for our projects. And we actually went to our manufacturers at the time. We had no intent of getting in the business of manufacturing. And they all told us, great idea, tiny market, people throw stuff away. So don't worry about it. So the first, what I would consider start a coastal source, 2003 to 2008, was just building for our projects. And then as time went on, our product got out in the market because people have other homes. So they loved it at their Florida Keys home. They said, let me put it in my Connecticut home, my California home, my London home. And we started getting calls from lighting specialists, AV integrators, landscapers, like, hey, love your stuff. I installed it, but I'd like to make some money on it, not just do an installation. And that's when we spent 2 years in heavy R&D. We partnered with a client of ours in New Jersey that had the manufacturing ability. You can't do this scale of stuff in the Keys. Labor, shipping, all those things. So in 2010, we started selling to dealers. What we consider dealers. We only sell direct.
Mm-hmm. No, that's awesome. I love that it was a solution to a problem that you had, and then it just kind of morphed from there. And then you didn't want to move to New Jersey. You're like, heck no, I'm staying down 100%. Here.
It's interesting because that actually adds a little bit to the story in that the Keys is a tiny market. 70,000 people across 110 miles. And the number of clients that are in our target are very small. Okay. So that's why we have to do so many things. We probably, if we could just be a contractor or just an architectural firm or just a landscape firm or design firm, it'd be simpler business. The expertises we have are substantial that we have to maintain. We love living here though. So how do we leverage that? And that's where Coastal came again, because we can do all the R&D here, all the testing, all the conceptual, all that, and have a reason to be here, but leverage, just like leveraging employees, leverage the business so we're not just dealing with the Florida Keys population. So there was a strategic reason to do it also.
Yeah, I love it. That's awesome. All right. So when you started with that, was it mainly audio and then you added lighting later?
No, no, it's actually the opposite. Okay.
Oh, it did start lighting.
Yes. Probably more of my background is actually audio than lighting, but we did lighting from way back. I just saw a bollard design that we did, lighting bollard that we did, I think in early 1980s that we did in quantity. But what happened is, as I have a lot of people that I know in the industry, and pretty much everyone said, listen, on audio, there's 1,000 manufacturers, and don't get into that business. It's just too competitive. And going back to why, we believe you need an edge. We're all about being different, only if it's better. But you won't find a single product that we have that is like anyone else's product. We don't buy anything off the shelf. Our LED lamps were designed by us. We're not buying somebody else's lamps. Well, speaker cones, magnets, crossovers, everything's in-house designed. But going back to our maintenance history, when we said, okay, we want to build a better mousetrap, it was very quick for us that, and I mentioned this is pre-game, with the Design Source business, which I spent decades in, very high-profile clients, they pay us to go to their properties and foresee problems and fix them before they come for their 2 weeks and have a bunch of people working on their house. So we've got plenty of, if you look at our stuff, we've won state, national, international awards. Beautiful projects. But we were trained to walk in that project and not see the beauty, see the problems. Okay. So we've got a lot of experience with what goes wrong, how to fix it, how to maintain it, how to install it. And it was apparent that underground connections were one of the biggest issues, not only in the quality of it, but who do you have doing it? What is their mood that day? Is it raining? Are they qualified, unqualified? That. So our plug and play system really takes all the guesswork out, we all have labor issues, skilled labor issues. It lowers the skill level for excellent results. You can't short it. You can't get the polarity on, which is critical in audio. So it's those foundational things about, we didn't want to come out with a new fixture line or just a cool transformer or some bells and whistles. We wanted fundamental game-changing things from quality, repeatability, speed of installation, and profitability.
Love it. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about that because not everyone's familiar with your product. So how do you do that? How do you get it to where it's like, wait a minute, you're telling me that I could just have my 12-year-old show up to this job and not screw up the connection? Like, how do I do that? Let's talk through your wiring methods.
Yeah, so it's plug and play. Plug and play has been tried before, not really outdoors and the kind of thing we're doing. So we make pre-terminated cables, okay? Super quality. I mean, these are made for the aircraft industry and the automotive industry where failure is not an option. We've sold several million feet of cable. So a lot of connections. Defect ratio is minuscule. But it's a cable, gold-plated connectors, 200-pound pull strength. So if you compare that to other methods other than soldering and stuff, but wire nuts and stuff like that, about 25 pounds, and that can be a problem. Multi-jacketed to protect it. But the idea is you got a transformer, you mount it to the wall. It takes you less than a minute to connect the cable, start a zone. You go to your first fixture, and the cables come in 5, 10, 25, 50, and 100. So let's say I've got 35 feet to my first fixture. I'm going to use a 25 and a 10. The fixture has an input and output. I connect it, I take it out, I go to the next one. 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 The difference in the resistance, the voltage drop, you mentioned about efficiency. Everybody talks about LED efficiency. How about the efficiency of the rest of the system? And connections can make a major effect. The wire quality, the voltage drop, it happens there. So this basically is the solution.
People stripping too much wire, not taking the time to do it right. Yep.
I mean, wicking, we all know, you look at, right, when you go and you look at well lights, you're like, wow, there's a lot of water in there. Did they not seal it properly? That's part of the problem. But it's also that connection, wherever they strip that wire, if there's any space for water to get in there, when that light shuts down and creates a vacuum, it sucks water in. Can't happen with ours. Ours are IP68. You could submerge them 2 meters for a lifetime. Now it's not perfect. Okay. We are completely open to talk about the downsides. What are the downsides to our system? Our downsides to our system are, you're not going to go to your local distributor or big box store and buy cables when you run out.
Yeah.
Okay? So we make that easy. We make it where you buy on spools, you get a better value, but it's 250 foot of cable per spools. They're pre-terminated. So if you got a rack with 3 spools in your truck or van, your cart, whatever it is, and you need a 25 and a 10, you pull off a 25 and a 10, you put it together and you go. So, we don't ever, we're not saying that this is like, there's never an issue. So you have to plan a little more or stock a little bit extra. But in our experience, once someone's hooked on it, you will not go back to conventional connections. And we pretty much look at the same thing from the fixture, the LED, the transformer, our audio systems. We look at it from a different perspective. And that's from
cool.
For decades.
Yeah, like you said, there's always going to be something where it's like, well, that's great, but then what about this? Okay, well, I don't have, standard wire at my local supply house or whatever, but it is what it is, and you just got to plan accordingly. So, no, I appreciate your honesty on it. So let's talk about, I got to hear Coastal Source was at Greg Matthews' open house a couple of years, and that was impressive. I was like, holy cow. I think a lot of people have been missing the boat on outdoor audio, especially all these landscape lighting people who are in front of the right person. They're in front of the right person, and that's key with audio. What's so different? Like, what's so special about the Coastal Source outdoor audio systems?
Again, I think that we have a long history of doing it and knowing what customers get excited about. I've personally sold speakers into the hundreds of thousands of dollars. Okay, not for everyone. And I've sold a lot more $1,000 speakers than I sold hundreds of $1,000 speakers. And you can be happy with those, or you can, you got customers that that don't know what they can accomplish with your help, right? Just as much as value as coastal adds, the dealer has to add. So when you properly, audio is very emotional, okay? Even more than lighting. When you light up a person's house, obviously they walk out for the first time, it's very emotional also. Audio is very, very dynamic and very emotional, as long as you get the right system, right music for that client. But we're not scared of producing stuff that is more expensive, okay? No matter what, though, it has to have value. A value for an entry-level person and a value, there's still got to be value for a billionaire, okay? So, but we're not scared to, the average outdoor speaker, I'm going to say quality outdoor speaker, is somewhere in the $200 to $500, maybe $800 range, okay? We start at $595 and we go to $10,000 each, okay? And you might say, wow, that's ridiculous. And most of our competitors think it's ridiculous. A lot of clients, if you just told them or you proposed it, thinks it's ridiculous. But our line source speaker at $10,000 each was sold out for a year. We couldn't make them a year and a half. Couldn't make them.
That's cool.
Okay? Because when you played them, people with money did not calculate, wow, how much dollars is this for this, that, and the other thing. I want this. I can clearly afford it. And they don't have a relative value of, oh no, a speaker should only be $500. So demoing audio is very, very important, because otherwise it's the same thing I feel about, again, learned a lot in proposals, contracts, etc. You meet with a customer, you get them excited, and then you email them a contract. That's they could sit on it. They could send it to your competitor, whatever. You went all through all the work to design the system, lighting or audio. You created that personal relationship. You showed them that you cared. You need to go back with that contract, with a demo, whatever it may be, lighting and audio. And you need to explain to them why it's worth the value you're asking, why your company is worth the value. And the right kind of customers value that and weigh it compared to the person that dropped off a proposal for 25 fixtures at whatever, $300 each. Okay. So when you do a demo, you're taking that extra step and you're investing your time. You mentioned time up front. Time is our most valuable asset. Okay. No matter who we are in what company, and customers appreciate that. Someone who spends time with them. How many vendors, how many suppliers actually spend time with them? Okay. Invest their time to give them the best. So when you do those
people are
things,
too busy. Most people say, well, I'm too busy, and they're on to the next proposal because they know they're going to email it. And like you said, when they leave, so does the emotion. So
yes.
My argument is like, listen, time is our number one asset. So why did you even waste your time if you're not going to present in person, if you're not going to spend the time to do the demo? I mean, here we have the owner of a lighting or the audio and lighting business telling us to do the demo. It's really hard. Even a billionaire, a millionaire, whatever, like it's hard for them to say, wait, you want me to spend $100,000 on audio? Like that doesn't even make sense, because in their mind, they think it's a few $1,000s. But when you bring that demo kit and you let them experience it and get that emotional connection to it, that's the value you're talking about. The value has surpassed the amount that they're spending. Money's no issue for them if you're in front of them.
You have to have the qualified client, but you look at profitability. I think, as you mentioned, scaling up, right? So there are some audio lines out there that have tremendous margins, huge discounts. What is the product really worth? It's probably what you're paying for it. But if you take somebody who thought they were going to spend $2,000 and they spend $10,000, what does that do for your bottom line? And the truth of the matter is, our $10,000 system installs quicker than those $2,000 systems. And that's part of the way we develop the company, right? It's not a great product, we think, is about half the battle. It's the customer service. The amount of inventory we have is staggering, so that when you propose a job, you can install that system. Okay. It's the low defect ratio, rolling a truck to fix things. We know what that costs, so it's that whole package. Going back to the demos, we're up to somewhere around 10 full-size Sprinter vans that are decked out with almost all. We have a lot of audio tools and lighting tools, but they're meant to go there for you as if you're a dealer, to train your people, but also go to your client and make the sale in their yard.
That's
it is
killer.
Extremely impactful.
What's the location? Where are you guys? Where are those
They're
vans
all over.
concentrated?
So we've got Florida, we've got the Mid-Atlantic, we got the Northeast, California, Texas, Colorado. They're throughout the U.S.
Oh,
And
that's cool.
they may not be adjacent to every dealer. We have a lot of dealers, but we're adding. We're big. If you want to sell upscale products, you've got to demo it. Now, there's a lot of people that good enough this game. They're confident enough. Their customers trust them. They don't need to. Okay, but most of us, especially if you're new to this game, need to demo for your own self-confidence. When you see those people light up, I mean, literally, they light up and they want you to leave the system and write you a check.
That's awesome.
That happens. You got some of our dealers like Greg online, and I'm sure there's maybe others. Just ask them.
Yeah. Well, I love it. I'm a super fan of the demo actually for lighting and audio because again, starting out, like it's just helping you set yourself up for success. Eventually, yeah, maybe you're good enough where you got the relationship skills and all that other stuff. There's a lot of people that will stroke these big checks and don't want that. They don't need that. But why limit yourself? Just take the time to do it. We talked before we hit the live button about, our installation crews, like take an audio demo and just set it up. If it were me, I had my business today, I'd be asking when I close the sale for lighting, I say, what's your favorite band? What's your favorite type of genre? And they'd say, why? I'm like, oh, no worries. I was just curious. And I would write that down. So I'd start playing that music when we get there to install. And it's basically going to sell itself. That's the only way, in my opinion, to do it if you're struggling. Because I know a lot of people have been like, oh, I tried audio. It didn't work. I proposed it was 6,000. They said it was too much.
Yes.
It's like, well, they were just looking at a number on a piece of paper.
Exactly. Yeah. And take that one step further. Landscapers, lighting specialists may not be comfortable going inside the house. Okay. Going into the entertainment center, connecting a pair of speakers, drilling through walls, attics, and going outside. We knew that up front. And we weren't just targeting one type of client. I think you want to talk about what we look for in a dealer, which we could talk about later. So we developed outdoor amplification, okay, so that if you've got a plug outside, you could have our smallest or largest system, okay, with wireless streaming. And we're not locking you into Bluetooth. We're not locking you into a Bose, Sonos, whatever. You choose, the ideal situation is the customer has Sonos in their house or whatever they have. And you say, okay, you've got Sonos in the kitchen, bedroom, home theater, and let's say a patio. And you're like, I'm going to add the pool to your zone. You know how to operate it. It's just going to be another button that you can add to your zone. Very easy. Nice. Because we know that not everybody is super technical. So we try and, again, there's certain limitations, but we go out of our way to make it practical, okay, for someone with limited knowledge to get really good results. That's what we're about. Is predictable results.
That's with that exterior box, right?
Correct.
Exterior casing. Okay, cool. I love it because we are like we're comfortable outside, but then the moment is like, wait, now I got to trust someone to go inside and ruin the hand-dyed carpet or break the artifact on the table or whatever. So it is nice because it can just keep everything outdoors.
So we definitely started that. We're pretty much still the only player there. But yeah, you going into someone's entertainment center and messing with their wiring or their settings is not cool in most cases. To go ahead to, what do we look for in a dealer? We have a lot of dealers. We're pretty picky. We don't accept everyone. We're looking for a great business person. It doesn't matter if they're a lighting specialist, they're an audio specialist, they're an automation specialist, they're an electrician, okay? We believe there's value in Coastal Source for people who want to learn it, want to have a business that is more predictable, reliable, less stress, and more profitable. And I'll give you a little kind of reason why I say that. Our Design Source business right next door is extremely complicated, okay? We do, if you go to a big estate property, you got a contractor, you got a landscaper, you got the electrician, you got the architect, you got the engineer. We have all those things. If something goes wrong, it's us. It's not pointing fingers, etc. When we look at that business, we're like, we want an easier business. I'm getting older. We want an easier business, more predictable business. All those things are molded into Coastal Source. Take that one more step. those lighting specialists, you may have some that do interior lighting also. Okay. You've got to be on your game because you are dealing with the contractor, the electrician, the interior designer, probably the homeowner. You're dealing with trusses and fans and other lighting and all kinds of things. And you're someone staring over your shoulder, and you better be right on your symmetry, everything. If there's pressure to move into the home, who's under pressure? Everybody's working inside the house. What's it like for us outside? It's a completely different game, isn't it? If you got to move the light from here to here, how much time does that take us? Right? So outdoor, again, built into coastal, we have products that people use indoors. That is not our thing. We're focused on outdoor, making the best outdoor products. We don't want to be distracted by trying to make indoor stuff or stuff that is, indoor and outdoor.
Yeah, no, I love it. Hey, so we're going to do a quick break. I want to give some money away to our live. We've got people here live listening. So what I like to do is just bribe people to listen, and I pay them to answer easy questions. So are you okay if I do that?
Go for it.
All right, here we go, guys. Gift card giveaway. All right, it's everyone's favorite time to play gift card giveaway. We're going to give you a chance to win $50. Yeah, it's just $50. To get started, all you got to do is answer this question, and it's the first person to answer it correctly. We'll hook you up. So if you were listening to the podcast a couple of weeks ago, we had Jan Moyer on. This is where that question is coming from. So a couple of weeks ago, we had her on the show, Jan Moyer. I asked her if we were talking about design. I said, if you were limited, if someone said you could only choose one color temperature to work with, what would it be? So you just got to let me know what color temperature Jan Moyer would choose. If you could only choose one color temperature, what would it be? Someone's like already guessing the answer before I asked the question. Someone was saying downlighting, because I was going to ask that question. If she where does all design start? It starts with downlighting. But the answer and the winner, the answer is 3000K. Mr. Greg Matthews was the first one to answer that correctly. We got a bunch of people jumping in. It was 3000K. What's up, John Van? Good to see you. What's up, Aiden? Good to see you. But Greg Matthews, we will hook you up with your gift card giveaway. We will hook you up, man. All right. So, yeah, Greg, I don't know if you saw, but he's presenting a big project tonight with a bunch of coastal source. So, sure, he'll be locking that one down later this evening. So, looking forward to that. Okay, well, let's get back to wrapping it up here with Franco. Talking about your ideal client. When you said that they're, it doesn't really matter what industry they're in. They're just they got to be good at business. What does that mean to you? How does someone, maybe if they're like, well, am I good at business? Like how do they become good at business?
I think it's someone, and I think it's probably a foundation to your consulting, is someone who takes some time to work on their business, right? To understand, because we're beating our heads against the wall most days, right? It's what we feel like. Step back and take a look at, where are those cracks that you mentioned? Where are the losses in revenue? Where are the problems with staffing, right? Am I trying to do work that is so exotic or over the top that I can't find people to do it? I've got to do it myself, right? So, we're very big on the 80-20 rule. And we do, again, look at our website. You're going to see state-of-the-art work. You're going to see pools that we've done on residents that are many millions of dollars, okay? But we don't believe in customizing every aspect of every job, okay? There's fundamentals that should be repeated because they're proven, they work, they're reliable, you know what suppliers you're going to. That last 20% should be customized for that client, okay? Our interior designers, which have a full staff of interior designers, love starting from scratch on every job. It's a disservice to the client, it's a disservice to the company, okay? So it's some of those things of looking at the company and understanding, I've been in this a long time. I've had pet projects that were pet projects. I thought they were fundamental to business. I couldn't give them up, okay? But if you stand back, sometimes you're going, that's a pet project. It's hurting me. It's hurting my business. I need to move on from that. And sometimes it's not even, so it's those kind of things. We'll have a lot of people tell us that, well, your connections are fast, but not really a problem for me. I've never had a connection fail. Can any lighting person that's been in this for a long time say they never had a connection fail? Okay. Can they say that they're just as fast? It's not true, but are they open to looking at new ways? One of our challenges with Coastal Source, I'll be very honest with you again, is that we are different. Okay. Different requires education.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's a major burden I don't know if it's a burden. It's a big part of our job. Is why, and we have a specific way that we believe this should be done. And people that I think give it a good go, we win a lot of those. But being different if you just go with the mainstream, it's easier, right? Spool a cable or, speakers that are $500. A lot of people will perceive that speaker as being a lot easier to sell than our $5,000 speaker.
Yeah.
We don't believe that. And we don't believe that you trying to sell 10 times as many of those is as good for your business as selling the $5,000 one. Okay. So it's those fundamentals about service. What does labor really cost you? Most people don't know. And it costs you a lot more than you think it does.
Hold on. I got to pause for a second because you're saying like a ton of amazing things, but you're treating them like it's just normal. Yes. Can we go back? Because like you said, most people don't know their labor.
Yeah.
You just also threw out quality over quantity. Now you have to sell 10 times the speakers to make the same amount of money. Is that really the route you want to go? But one thing you mentioned a few minutes ago was that it's the 80-20 rule and how much customization versus these things that can be applied to any house. I love that because that's what happened in my business. I know there's a lot of people out there that want to be the true artist where they're going to source this fixture from this one and then this. Like, I don't have time for that. I want to scale a business. And I believe that I came up with some foundational principles that could be applied to any project. And like you said, like 80% of it's going to be the exact same. Yeah. And then that 20% can be customized. And that's what is that unique thing to the client. So I love that you said that because it resonates with me. And I believe that's one of the weaknesses for some of these lighting companies, some of the audio companies, is they're almost maybe trying too hard, right? And then they're wondering like why they can't get stuck out of these ruts and why they can't scale. And the answer is you said it. I mean, there's solutions out there. It's simplification. And it doesn't mean that you're giving up on being the best at the craft and you're not top notch. But like you said, that interior designer example, you're in a lot of cases doing a disservice to your client.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's again, it's kind of stepping back and looking at those things. But, you just take so back in my early days of audio, it was different business back then, but I felt that it was a skill set that we brought, that you bought a turntable, we matched the turntable to the tone arm, to the needle, we set it up, and then we picked what cables, what preamp, what amp, all different manufacturers. And I've learned through all the years, and Coastal, again, it's a fundamental of ours, we are systemized. It's a system from the plug to the last LED or the last speaker, okay? And it's meant to work together, engineer together, and perform together. And, just take an example of if you piecemeal a system, okay, and you did it this year, then you go on to the next one, you go on to the next one, go on to the next one, you're growing your company and you no longer are doing all those. You are no longer servicing those. And you send your techs out, okay? One job, they're trying to figure out what you did on that job and why you use this amplifier and it programs differently than that amplifier or transformer, etc. When you look at how all that stuff compounds, that's what slows your business down, So you got to kind of think differently. You want to be production oriented, but still have that full personal relationship and custom feel that this was made for your customer. And we believe you can do that with 80-20 and everyone's happier and your business is going to flow a lot better.
Love that. Yeah. I mean, maintenance and the future, like what's going to happen next with this property and how are we going to interact with that client? No one thinks of that. Well, most people don't think about that when they're designing. And
yeah, another great example, I think, is add-ons. Okay. I know it from the audio standpoint. I know it from the lighting standpoint. And, my lighting background for landscape lighting was conventional wire nuts, solder, crimps, all those things, right? When we did a big job, and some of our jobs were big, and a customer said, I'd like to have 3 more lights. We almost wish they didn't want those 3 lights to go back to that hub, cut the wires, splice in all that. So with our system, again, if customer, as long as you've designed it, again, 80-20, 80% is what you're built in, and you got 20% room to grow. It is a fraction of the time to add on to that job, speakers or lighting, and it's extremely profitable. So you go from a situation like, man, and then audio systems, you got your rack, you're all set up, and the customer wants to change something. You're like, whoa, I'll charge you a fortune, and I'm still not going to make money. So it's all those things that we really try and think about because we know they make a difference. Not everybody believes in them. We do.
We're going to send our gift card to you. Greg just wants a credit.
Yeah, plus a multiplier, I assume.
He wants the best multiplier. So I want to ask you, what's the biggest lighting and or audio job that you've been a part of?
From a manufacturing standpoint, or for me personally, let's say selling and stuff?
Maybe both.
Both? Okay. I would say for me, biggest landscape lighting job was probably $200,000 or so. Okay. We have dealers that outdo that, significantly. And part of it is I'm not selling those jobs anymore. So my responsibility between our companies, I'm 90% coastal. So I'm not the guy selling the systems now.
What have you heard? Maybe some of your top dealers doing.
I think 600 plus. You got one online. He can tell us. But I'm sure it's 600,000 plus, and we hear of those fairly regularly.
What about audio?
Audio systems, I've done them over $1 million. Now that's not just outdoor audio. So $1 million total. Outdoor, probably 150, something like that. And then dealers, I would say that's probably about right too. There's one big job that stands out that was, I don't know, 300,000-400,000, and that was commercial. So residential, I think, if I had to guess right now, I'm going to say 650,000 in lighting and probably in the 200s in audio. And this is residential. Yeah.
I just think it's cool to give some inspiration to people to know that, yes, there are people that will spend $1 million just on the lighting and audio. There's other stuff that they spent money on in their house, outside their house, all that stuff. Because one of the things that I've learned over the years, and I'm still learning, is to think bigger. Like when I started, I thought it was so cool to sell a $4,000 lighting job. And that was big to me. That was like insane. Like, I can't believe, because I didn't grow up around that environment. I didn't grow up with money. And then all of a sudden it's 10,000 and then 20 and then 50 and then 100. But I just want people to think bigger. Look at all the opportunities that you've taken advantage of in your life, and starting multiple businesses, starting some that didn't work, everything else. And I think a lot of that comes because you're always thinking bigger. Even now, you're still involved in your business, even though you've got a team. You're still thinking, what's the next thing? How can I make this better? How can we be better? Constantly thinking bigger. So you're an example to me of that for sure.
Yeah, and I think you touched upon another business thing, and that is selling out of your own pocket. Yep. I make a very nice living. I have customers that make thousands of times what I make. Okay, so when they go buy a $10,000 speaker, it's like me spending $10.
I know.
And it's actually $1. So
isn't that crazy? When you step back and you're like, would I spend $100 for this audio system or whatever? You're like, of course you would.
Yeah. So you have to understand that obviously there's a skill set to qualifying a customer, but you just get a feel for it, right? In the Keys, I've had people that you wouldn't think had $10 in their wallet spend a lot of money. So we're a little different down here, obviously, very casual. Right. And then how you go about that, because you can overshoot and lose the customer, and maybe even worse, undershoot. Because a good example is my partner, two families own Coastal. We built an estate property for the Zimmerman family in New Jersey. That's why there's a New Jersey division and a Florida division. And Harold Zimmerman had hardly no interest in audio. And he said, listen, give me a flat screen TV. This is, 12 years ago, a few more, 15 years ago. And, maybe a sound bar. And that's what I want for my theater. Well, I showed him an $80,000 audio system. Okay. So he went from this is good enough for me, But when he saw what he could have for 80, he had the ability. It was a no-brainer, So I was doing him a disservice by giving him what he asked for.
Such a good example.
Without searching for what does he really want.
It's interesting because most people, like consultants and people like that, they'll tell you, like, listen to your customer, give them what they want. And I'm totally with you in this camp. Is like, listen, they don't know what's possible. Why would we limit them based on our limited beliefs? Let's show them what's possible, because if they knew what was possible, they'd pull the trigger all the time. They just don't know. So yeah, give me the flat screen and the sound bar, because that's what they saw at Costco.
And give them an option. When you shoot for the moon, be prepared that it's not for everyone. And that's not your only option. People like options. And if you give them options, the ones that really have the ability will self-upgrade. If you only hit them with the big ones, sometimes they're like, what do you think? I was born yesterday? Right. But if you're like, you could have this system, which is really good, but here's the best. Some of them, their egos just make them buy the best.
Yeah. Well, I was talking to you before about I'll position it like that. And sometimes if it's the right person, if it's the flex buyer, that flex persona, I'll say, there's also this one. Not a lot of people can afford it. Sometimes people are like, excuse me, do you know who I am? And they're going to step up and show you that they can afford it. Right. But I like the idea that offering options, because even if they don't go for the super fancy $100,000 speaker, it makes the $10,000, the $20,000 one look so much more attractive. Yeah. It's like, well, at least I'm not crazy. At least I'm not spending $100,000 per speaker. I'm only spending $10,000 per speaker.
Yeah. And you even look at our company. So we talked about those huge numbers. They're not for everyone. Some of us don't live in areas that can support that. So, we have audio systems that start at $3,000, $4,000. Obviously, lighting is scalable. I think it's important that you don't, if you're in the right area, you could be that very high to exotic, right? But most of us, you want to scale there, that you can reach, we don't believe Coastal's not going to make entry-level mass-produced products. It's just not us, But we think there could be an entry level that someone wants to spend $3,000, $4,000 on an audio system or a lighting system. They could still have a nice result.
Yeah, sure. That's awesome, man. Well, anything else? Did we leave anything out? Is there anything else you want to cover? Because
I have another appointment. Otherwise, there's a lot we could talk about. But no, I think I probably have to cut it off here.
Yeah, no, that was great, man. I really want to thank you for spending the time with us. I really appreciate it. Look forward to getting to know you better. We'll have you back on. I feel like there's a lot we have in common with the way we think and the way we want to help others, and just look forward to getting to know you better. But thanks again for being on here.
My pleasure.
Appreciate you, Franco.
Okay, thank you.
All right, guys, you guys have an awesome week. We'll see you next one, and don't forget to keep moving forward.